up? We're going to go through the deadlift now. We're going to talk pretty in depth about different variations of the deadlift. What we're going to focus on today is different styles and why you might want to use different styles depending on the kind of athlete you're coaching, depending on what kind of athlete you are, depending on whether you find that you can't quite get into a good position for your deadlift. So what we're going to talk about, guys, is two main styles of deadlifts that exist. So one is more of a traditional deadlift where you are grabbing onto that bar, dominant hand over the bar, undominant hand under the bar. Pull from here, my knees, and my hips are lower, my chest is up, my back is nice and straight. I'm going to drive up with my legs, shoulders back, and I come back down. So in that variation there, it's more of a clean style deadlift, not quite a clean deadlift, but you're in a position where there should be a plate button over here on the side of me. It's facing that way, and as I come up, that plate button should always be facing that way. As I come back down, that play button should be facing that way. I'm going to do a couple of reps again. When you're doing this deadlift, you don't want that weight to be so much onto your heels or so much onto your toes. So we're going to be in the middle of the foot. Have your dominant hand over the bar, undominant hand under the bar. Set your hips down, chest up, back nice and flat. Drive up, shoulders back. Now as you get to the top position, squeeze your glutes, and that does everything that your hips need to be doing. Make sure your shoulders aren't down. Pull your shoulders back, let's bring it down. Keep that chest up. If there was someone in front of you, you'd want to be able to read what it is their t-shirt is saying. Now, as different variations of the deadlift is going to be how I like to pull, which is more of a stiff-legged type deadlift. So, it's not a stiff-legged deadlift, but it's just a deadlift where you're using your hamstrings a little bit more. So for this variation, we set up again. So dominant hand over, undominant hand under. I'm here, and I'm going to pull my knees back. My back's still nice and straight. I drive up. So in this variation here, what's happening is I'm loading my hamstrings. So I'm in this position, I pull back, I get to load those hamstrings quite a lot. I have tension here, this activates my glutes and my lower back, and all my hamstrings want to do from this position is release. So it makes it really easy to be able to set yourself up and pull a good amount of weight. When we're doing either one of these variations, we've got some tips and some things that we want to think about in relation to the bar. The first one is slack. So the bar, every time you pull in it, I'm not sure if you can see that, has a little bit of give to it. So when you set yourself up into that deadlift, make sure you're pulling the slack off the bar. So I'm grabbing onto that bar, knees down, pull my knees back, pull onto the slack, and I stand up. What that does is that allows me to sit back a little bit more into that deadlift. What we find with a lot of people is that they can't get used to the position of sitting back into a deadlift. They have their weight forward a lot. Something that helps, or something that you might want to think about, is pulling your weight back, so sitting right onto your heels, or imagining that there's a chair behind you that you're going to sit into, and pointing your big toe down. What that's going to do is going to keep your foot nice and flat. For a lot of people, if you tell them to sit onto their heels, this happens. So the toes come up. So by thinking about pointing that big toe down, what that does is that sets you up in a good position to lift and come back down. Because not everybody's going to just get that concept of sitting back onto something, we can try and use things like walls, boxes to get somebody to understand that concept. So we're just going to go into a wall. So we've got ourselves here against the wall. Maybe just go from the side. And if we can get someone to get themselves in a good position where they can lean back and press through, they're going to understand how to engage their hamstrings a little better. So from here, my hips against the wall, back's nice and straight, weights on my heels, push my hip through. To come down, I'll push my hip back against that wall, and I'm able to practice the movement in a position where my hamstrings are getting nice and engaged, coming back up. Hips back, getting nice and engaged, coming back up. As the athlete gets better and you get better at noticing good positions where you're hinging well and you're not hinging well, then you can obviously take things like the box away. It all comes down to getting really good at understanding what it means to be hinging. So for a lot of people when they hinge, they're very quad dominant or knee dominant, which means their knees start going forward and they're not pulling from a position where it's mostly hamstring engagement. They're pulling from a position where the quads are doing a lot of the work, like in a clean style deadlift, where your knees are a little bit more in front, hips are lower, back is straight. You're using your quads a little bit more than if you were to push your hips back and come back up. Now for a lot of people, they complain that when they're in that hinging motion, they feel their back a lot. If they're not pulling their knees back and actively engaging their hamstrings, that may be the case, but the way that your muscles work is that they're like a chain, so if your hamstring engages, then your glutes engage, then your lower back engages, all in a positive way. They're all going to reinforce each other's movement. If you have one thing lined up without the other, which tends to happen in a clean style deadlift, so somebody sets up for a deadlift and their hips are under them and they're not in that position where their hips are being pushed back, then that lower takes a lot of the force. So just getting somebody to understand what position they want their shoulders to be in really helps. Another thing that we like doing with people is getting to do a deadlift, pull their shoulders back and maintain that position from there. So once you've done a deadlift, shoulders back, chest up, start from here with a lighter weight and learn to feel what it's like to keep your back nice and engaged throughout the movement. If you start here and the weight's heavy, you might not be able to get yourself in a good position. So with a lighter weight, work on pulling your shoulders into a good position, setting up for a good deadlift, coming back up. And not getting used to being in that position where your shoulders are rounded forward. And as you start struggling here, you don't have anywhere to go because you're never teaching your body to pull your shoulders back. Always start in that position. Now that goes back to the concept of pulling the slack out. If we can pull the slack out of deadlift and set our shoulders well, then we're in a good place where all we have to do is just use our hamstrings, drive up and come through. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. A little bit more in depth on the deadlift. We'll bring out new episodes hopefully every week on different movements. Take care guys and peace.